faithfully delivering value, interpreting the world's great books. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. I'm the interpreter for this book. Today, Zhang Lang will interpret the book Leading Change for you. So, why recommend this book? There are two reasons. First, we're in an unpredictable era where companies constantly face challenges of change. Some call this the VUCA era. What does that mean? VUCA is an acronym. V for volatility, meaning rapid change. U is uncertainty, meaning unpredictability. C is complexity, meaning intricacy. A is ambiguity, meaning vagueness. In this volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous era, how should businesses and individuals respond? With many change management books available, why focus on John Cotter's work? That leads to the second reason. Leading Change was named by Time magazine as one of the 25 most influential management books. Its concepts and methods have been repeatedly proven effective in business practice. Moreover, John Cotter himself is remarkable, a Harvard Business School tenure professor and globally renowned leadership expert. All right, let's explore what this book actually covers. First, let's examine the structure of Leading Change. The book's structure is straightforward. It centers on one core question: how organizations can successfully implement change. Cotter answers this through two lenses: what determines organizational change, success or failure, and how to properly lead change. These questions form the book's two main sections. Starting with the first, what factors decide organizational change outcomes? To answer, consider the title itself. Why leading change instead of managing change? The book illustrates this with a telling example. A bank facing competition formed a quality task force, appointing HR Director Claire as lead. Yet, immediately, all three key department managers refused to join the team. Meanwhile, the borrowed members all made excuses not to show up. It's tough to even hold a meeting. Slowly, team members started forming cliques, leading to heavy conflicts. And it doesn't stop there. Task force members and business managers had almost no common ground, so none of the suggestions got adopted. A year and a half later, guess what? The task force had to disband. Scenes like this are all too common in companies. Whenever change hits, conflicts and contradictions start playing out. Why? Cotter found this happens because the change approach was wrong. Change can't be managed, only led. His reasoning? Management and leadership are two totally different things. Management aims to keep the organization running smoothly, focusing on planning, budgeting, personnel control, problem solving, and such. But leadership's purpose is different. It's about guiding the organization to build new systems and enter uncharted territories. So it's centered on vision, inspiring people to overcome hurdles and hit goals. In a nutshell, management focuses on tasks, while leadership cares more about people. If you're all about tasks and ignore folks, pushing change that way just leads to failure. Plus, change itself is about setting up new systems. Its biggest hurdle is the old organizational inertia, especially human laziness. To pull off change, first we need to shift people's mindsets and behaviors. So remember this core idea: successful change is driven by leadership, not pushed by management. That wraps up the first question. Next, we dive into the book's core part, the second topic: how to lead change the right way. First, remember two principles. One, leadership is more crucial than management. The other is to handle both leadership and management. Both need to be strong. For leading change, Cotter laid out 8 steps. They're all linked, and you can't skip or botch any. First, let's get familiar with these 8 steps. Step 1, create a sense of urgency. Step 6 is to form a leadership strategy. Step 3 is to form a vision strategy. Step 3 is to communicate the change vision. Step 5 is to empower action. Step 6 is to form a leadership strategy. Step 7 is to consolidate gains and drive deeper change. Step 8 is to anchor changes in the culture. Now, let's see how these 8 steps actually work. Step 1, create a sense of urgency. First, consider an example. A big pharma company had lousy performance. Sales and profits both tank, setting off a chain reaction. First off, massive layoffs happened and morale tanked. Next, customer complaints and gripes just kept mounting, which then made investors panic. Everyone started saying they'd pull out. But weirdly, facing such a tough spot, the company wasn't tense at all. No change efforts happening. Management meetings kept happening like normal, but they only talked about minor stuff, nothing important. When real big problems came up, folks just blamed each other or dodged them. And so why is that? Well, see, this company used to do great. Managers and staff were super confident. They didn't think there was a big deal. No change would work unless they felt the heat and got urgent. So, how do we create that urgency? Two ways: go out into the world or find the gaps. Going out, that's hitting the market, chatting with customers and suppliers to hear what's really up and spotting how things are shifting. Folks get smug because they block out info, nothing new to fix their biases. And once they're out there, they get the raw impact firsthand and figure out why problems are happening. Where can they find ways out and chances and finding gaps? It's comparing all over against rivals, what customers want, or your own track to build a big gap and fire people up. Both going out and gap finding are about getting real and lighting that urgency fire. Got urgency now. Next up, build the crew. Step 2 in leading change. Get a solid pro team, and you're halfway there. But you can't just pick anyone. How to choose the team? Cotter's got a handy idea, the 4+2 model. The apostrophe 4, that's 4 kinds of folks for the team: power holders, talents, ethical types, and interested parties. Often key players, like department heads, they clear roadblocks. Talent? That's pros with skills. They bring info, expert advice, and help make smart calls. Ethical folks have strong reputations. They can sway the doubters and watchers. Interested parties means leadership, especially experienced leaders who drive reforms. These are usually company power players, but gathering them doesn't make a team. Strong personalities may clash. This requires 2 foundations: mutual trust and a shared goal. To build trust, deep, regular communication works fastest. For example, a group retreat works wonders. With trust, reaching consensus gets much easier. Often, team members focus solo not because they reject the goal, but from distrusting others. Conversely, shared goals, especially challenging ones, build that us against the world trust. So with those 4 types, plus trust and shared goals, you've got a powerhouse team. Getting leadership consensus, vital, but not enough. Change involves everyone. How do we fire them up? That brings us to step 3. Crafting a vision. What's a strategic vision? Sounds abstract. Does it actually work? John Cotter's stance? Clear. Visions aren't just useful, they're game changers. He says a vision paints tomorrow's picture, giving everyone a reason to fight for it. Specifically, visions do 3 things. First, they point the way for change. Second, they motivate action. Third, they align efforts fast. In short, a clear, agreed-upon vision gets everyone moving. That reality's way messier. Many companies have visions, but they don't seem to help. So here's the key. What makes a vision effective, and how to spot one? Effective visions meet 3 standards. First, it should be imaginable and easy to explain. Test it. If you can explain its staff relevance in 5 minutes, that's effective. Second, it should be worthwhile and doable. People must see its possibility and tangible outcomes. People won't last long without proof. So effective visions set milestones, phased targets. And we've got to show everyone these goals are solid and achievable. Third, visions need sharp focus plus some flexibility. Focus tells folks what to do and what not to, while flexibility adapts to changes. Enough theory, let's feel what an effective vision looks like. Here's an insurance company's vision. Their goal: become the industry leader within 10 years. Your leader means more revenue, higher profits, greater innovation, and better workplaces. To hit this, we need double-digit growth in both revenue and profits. It will focus more beyond the US, cut bureaucracy, and shift from product-focused to service-focused. This statement packs a clear blueprint. Leadership in 10 years. plus concrete targets like double-digit growth and actionable plans, global focus, less red tape, becoming service-driven. Such straightforward wording fires people up. But with a vision set, how do we get buy-in? That brings us to change step 4. Step 4, communicate the vision. Getting everyone on board isn't easy, but it's non-negotiable. How? No shortcuts. Just communicate relentlessly. For fast, effective spread, set control points. 3 work best. First control point, simplify content. Visual ideas spread fastest. Compare to vision versions. First, we'll design diverse, acclaimed products that command premium prices and high profits. Now the second, we'll be the Apple of our industry, not the Xiaomi. Clearly, version 2 is more vivid and direct. Second control point, delivery. Research shows vision messages make up under 1% of company comms. Us in daily chaos, folks just don't retain the vision. So blast it everywhere. Meetings, posters, memos, newsletters, online, even chats repeatedly. Here's a note. Avoid harsh, forced messaging, especially in person-to-person talks. A two-way, equal approach works far better. The third control point, lead by example. Actions are the strongest proof for bringing visions to life. Say a company pushes cost cutting, but executives fly first class and stay at 5 stars. What would you think? You'd absolutely call the vision fake. Cotter's crystal clear. The top vision killer is leaders acting against it. So change leaders must walk the talk and set the example. With vision buy-in, minds are aligned. Now comes the doing. The key to execution, empowerment, that's step 5 in leading change. For step 5, let's start with a failure story. Frank managed a company department with about 100 staff. Innovation was part of the company's change vision. At Frank, used to commanding ignored employee ideas, demanding blind obedience. Soon, the department split. Some joined the new plan, but most lost faith. Managers like Frank, refusing change, became roadblocks. Why did this happen? Partly personal, but mainly the organization itself. Its old structures, rules, skills, and culture became barriers. So, how to clear these hurdles? Generally tackle 3 areas: restructure systems, transform processes, and build skills. The end goal, empowerment. First, restructure systems. Work structure is power structure. Different levels and departments hold varied authority. Adjusting it means redistributing power. In reality, flattening by cutting middle layers and merging departments boosts collaboration. It works. Like Huawei says, let those hearing gunfire make decisions. Frontline staff know markets and customers best. They deserve more authority. Second, transform processes, focusing on HR systems like performance, pay, promotions, and reviews. These systems involve everyone, so they're the baton guiding employee actions. If a company wants employees to support change, it must wield these batons well. For example, a company advocates customer centricity, but in evaluations, it still uses order revenue as a metric, lacking customer satisfaction indicators. Then salespeople only care about how much is sold, not about customer usage. Third is skill building. New goals, new positions, new businesses all require new capabilities. So companies must provide appropriate, ongoing training to help managers and employees gain new skills. Like the department manager Frank mentioned earlier, he needs training to change his habits, plus heightened urgency. If he doesn't change, he's out. Remember that. Empowerment is a critical step in leading change. Through restructuring, transforming systems, and skill building, these 3 axes turn the vision into collective action. As said before, whether a vision is fantasy or ideal depends on showing results in the short term. This is what change entails. Step 6, accumulate short-term wins. John Cotter shared an example, very representative. Thomson became GM of a building materials company with $1.7 billion in assets, part of a conglomerate. After taking over, he crafted a new vision to become a global giant by developing tech for high-value, cost-effective building materials. By the second year, the vision was known throughout the company. In year 3, they pushed new measures hard, New products, training, M&A, organizational changes, a go big, go fast ethos swept the firm. But by year 4, Thompson was fired. Not only did new initiatives fail, performance plunged, managers quit, and morale tanked. Why? In Thompson's 4 years, almost no financial targets were met. In other words, over 4 years, the change effort showed employees no tangible results. Even short-term wins were absent, yet their impact is huge. They make everyone believe that striving for the vision is worthwhile and effective, motivating more people to join the change. As the book notes, continuously achieving short-term wins ensures a better position to secure future victories. So how do we achieve short-term wins? Consider another example. An insurance company planned major process changes over 4 years. To realize this vision, leadership set 3 plans. First, significantly cut department budgets within a year. Second, quickly show customers process improvements to boost satisfaction. Third, streamline organizational structure to lift employee morale. To implement these, they defined supporting measures. 2-year operational budgets and dedicated leads, conducting bi-monthly reviews. This approach worked brilliantly. They systematically planned short-term wins with clear outcomes and thorough execution. Every plan had targets, timelines, actions, owners, and checkpoints. Through such rigorous management, they reaped substantial results. Short-term wins start well, but don't equal success. True change needs sustained wins. That's step 7. Drive change deeper. Cotter warns all leaders. One rule of change: let up before it's done, and momentum dies, leading to regression. Why? Long change processes face uncontrollables, leadership changes, new competitors, etc. In such times, a single short-term win isn't nearly enough. Change faces constant challenges. People's drive always wanes. So how to deepen change? We must uncover deep-rooted barriers. 2 common factors: interdepartmental dependencies. Businesses are systems. Customers affect sales, sales affect production, production affects R&D. Amid fierce competition, these dependencies intensify, often becoming major change obstacles. This means change isn't local adjustment, it's systemic revolution. No matter where change starts, it inevitably transforms the whole. Hence why single initiatives often fail, sometimes requiring 10 or more simultaneous actions, which carries high risk. So, how do we control it? Cotter suggests 2 approaches. First, have senior executives oversee overall leadership while delegating management authority as much as possible. This way, top management handles information, goal setting, and coordination, while middle or lower levels execute, making reform success possible. That said, deepening change is full of variables. No one can give a foolproof formula for success, not even John Cotter. So he offers crucial advice. Leadership's value is paramount at this stage. In other words, in reform's deep waters, leaders at all levels determine success or failure. Obstacles to change. The second deep factor is corporate culture. To solve this, we move to the 8th step of leading change. Step 8, anchor changes in the culture. What is culture? It's a company's behavioral norms and shared values, holding immense influence. If culture clashes with the vision, change reverses. So, how to break cultural barriers? Cotter's answer is clear: upgrade the culture, but this poses 2 big challenges. First, old culture is intangible. How to identify it? Second, how to shape a new culture? Let's see an example. An industry-leading industrial equipment firm with 100+ years of history. Since founding, it upheld customer-first values, with the founder establishing clear behavioral norms and systems. By 1980, these norms filled 6 thick volumes. Every employee believed strict adherence guaranteed success. But as the industry evolved, customer needs changed. They demanded faster, more convenient service. But as the industry transformed, customer expectations shifted, needing quicker, more accessible service. The original norms were too numerous and trivial, crippling service efficiency. In 1983, a new CEO revolutionized, scrapping bulky manuals for concise, practical rules. Then at the annual management meeting, he pledged, "We'll keep customer first principles, but meet needs in superior ways." Meanwhile, he implemented a series of measures. Ultimately, the cultural transformation succeeded. This case teaches us that shaping new culture requires two conditions. First, respect cultural continuity by preserving positive genes and values. Second, only when behavior changes successfully and delivers tangible results will people believe in its benefits, thus experiencing the cultural power behind actions. To summarize, anchoring changes in culture requires mastering two keys. First, identify culture through behaviors. Second, demonstrate behavioral change's value through outcomes. That's why John Cotter says cultural change is the result of behavior, not the cause. It belongs at the end, not the beginning. With that, we've covered the book's core content. Change follows a basic formula. Change equals driving forces minus resisting forces. Successful change means constantly boosting drives while reducing resistance. When driving forces far exceed resistance, the organization enters an upward trajectory. Think of this as success momentum. The reverse is failure momentum. Through this formula, the 8 steps create a process of building success momentum. Step 1. Urgency boosts driving forces and reduces resistance from complacency and fear. Step 2. Building a leadership team strengthens reformers and weakens opponents. Steps 3 and 4. Use a clear vision to attract more people to fight for change. Step 5. Empowerment clears roadblocks from structures, HR systems, and key roles, paving the way. Steps 6 and 7 demonstrate outcome power. Only accumulating short-term wins and deepening change secures long-term victory. The final step reveals true success, anchoring wins in culture, because new culture provides enduring strength. All right, that concludes our interpretation of leading change. Find reading notes below the audio. See you tomorrow.